Good day everyone, I'm Vijay from IDEC Controls India Private Limited. In previous video, we have seen the SE2L basic settings as well as the area pattern designing. Here we are using two different functionalities in SE2L. It is laser scanner, muting and override settings. So before proceeding further into the understanding of muting and override, let's see how it works. So here I have placed two different windows. One is the ladder logic, the other is the SLS designer on the right side. So whenever I switched on the muting function, so you can see I have switched on the muting function, and this is the area for the muting function. Now I'm intersecting an object in the muting function. So muting function is an area where we are defining, let's say if an object is entering that area, it should not switch off OSST signal. And override is basically just to make sure that, let's say the object has been displayed a little bit into the protection zone. So now the OSST signal has gone back to the off state. So what we need to do, we have to switch on the override signal. So which is the logic which I have presented here. And as soon as I do that, muting function is enabled once again and the operation continues. Now moving to the practicality of it, let's open the presentation once again. So in this presentation, we'll look into two major factors, that is muting and the override, and the practical muting function. So muting function temporarily suspends the safety functionalities of SE2L when required conditions are fulfilled. So these conditions I'll discuss in the next slide. So whenever we are enabling the muting function, so we are defining an area which we are pre-designing. So that area will act as non-protection zone. The remaining area excluding that is a protection zone. So here in this example on the bottom side, the cutout of the car will be the area of muting. So if the car is present in that zone, so basically that is not a protection zone. The remaining area is protection zone. So this is a small example just to understand why muting function is needed. So initially for the start of the muting function, we have to make sure these three following conditions. That is, no object should be present in the protection zone initially before switching it on. The switching time interval between muting 1 and muting 2, these two are the inputs which we have to make it on. So it should be within t1 seconds. So this timer can be set with the help of SLS designer, and the t1 should not be 0, it should be more than 0. So for the stop conditions, first thing what we need to understand to make the muting function stop is either one of the muting input can make it off. Then second, if the object is crossing the muting area, that is protection into the protection zone, even in that case the function will stop. The third condition is if timer t2 time exceeds. So this timer can also be set using SLS designer. So either muting input should be in off state or timer exceeds. Let's say I have set a timer of 40 seconds or 60 seconds. If the time exceeds, the muting function will stop and that area will act as protection zone once again. If there is any error detected within the functionality while doing the muting function, even in that case muting will stop. So the fifth condition is whenever there is an area switching happening during the operation of muting function, even in that case muting function will stop its operation. So moving to the next slide, that is starting off the muting function. So as you can see in the timing chart, to start a muting function, the muting start sequence, so we have to follow a sequence, that is either muting 1 to 2 or 2 to 1. So these two sequences can be selected in the SLS designer, and timer t1 can be configured in the SLS designer once again. So we have to make sure that muting 1 and muting 2 inputs are switched on within this specified time interval, and this time should not be 0. There should be a certain time delay and it should not cross the timer t1 also. So these muting states will be in on state either as previously we have seen as stop conditions, t2 timer, or either of the muting signals are in off state, or there are a few more conditions which we have seen previously. So in this experiment, we are going to look into the muting function in addition to the area patterns which we have seen in the previous video solution. So there are two inputs we are provided, that is muting 1 and muting 2. So the wiring has been given to Q1 and Q2 of the PLC. A small program has been designed for that. So two inputs are switched on with respect to a certain time interval. So here I have set a time interval of 0.5 second, and these two inputs are switching on as per the sequencing what we have seen previously. And just for monitoring purposes, I have done a small timer logic here just to identify how much time the muting function is on. So this is the design in the FT1A PLC touchscreen. I have included a selector switch for on and off and a timer for that, and area sequencing to detect an object. So coming to the settings of SLS Designer, so it's a continuation part of the area pattern. So additionally, I'm clicking on the checkbox of muting, and then going to settings. Here there are 4 different settings which are there. It's the muting sequence, actually when the muting should get on, whether muting 1 and muting 2. So these 2 signals has to be get on, but the sequencing, whether muting 1 should get on and then muting 2, or muting 2 should get on first and then muting 1. So this sequencing can be selected from here. Then the time interval for the sequencing, how much time the muting functions should function, so that time can be set here, that is T2. So we'll discuss about the override function in the next coming slide. So once we do that, a small area has to be designed. So once we checkbox the muting, we have to go to the area, then go to the muting option here on the bottom side. Select an area in the protection zone, design as per the need, the square box or whatever design we'd like to go with. So just design and save. So once we have done that, we can go to confirm. The remaining procedures are as same as the previous video solutions of downloading a backup into the SLS project designer. So we'll see both the practicals in one go. So here I'll explain what the how override function works and how it has to be set. So override function is basically used whenever there is an error occurred in the muting function. So let's say an object has crossed the muting area and went to protection zone in that a small area. At that time also line should not stop, or maybe a function should not bypass by itself. So we are using an additional function called as override. So the start conditions of override is basically, there are 3 major conditions. So at least one of the muting input should be in on state, right? Muting function, muting 1 and muting 2, either one should be in on state. Then object, if it is present in protection zone, this is one more condition. The third condition is the switching time interval between the override and the reset, that is T3. It should be within the time interval of 0.03 to 1 second. Again, this can be set with the help of SLS Designer. So coming to the stop conditions, both muting inputs should be in off state. Override or reset input in off state, that's the second condition. Third condition is the timer what we are set in SLS Designer T4. If the time exceeds, that means if we are set as 60 seconds, if it crosses 60 seconds, automatically the function gets to off state. If there is any error detected during the functionality, or when an area switching happens during the override function, which should not happen. So there is a small note which we have provided. If you are going with dual protection zone instead of going with 2 warning zones, in that case muting 3, muting 4 as well as override 2 and reset 2 are actually configured. So the process will be quite same as we have seen here. Instead of muting 1 and 2, we will have muting 3 and 4 as well for the second protection zone, as similarly for override 2 and reset 2. Coming to the wiring diagram here, I have excluded the area pattern sequencing output, that is Q0. Instead of that, I have provided it to override 1, and Q3 output of PLC is provided to reset 1, since these 2 functionalities are needed for the override function. So in this experiment, we will be looking into the only one area sequencing, that is area number 1. So coming to the programming part of the override sequencing, the same program I have copy pasted. Instead of going with Q1 and 2, I have replaced it with Q0 and Q3, and the remaining replacement of the bits has been done here. Additionally, I have included in the HMI override on and off switch. So as you can see that override 1 and reset 1 are already been there. So here we are additionally using for the override function. So let's now move on to the SLS Project Designer for practical understanding. So as we have already seen the settings in the previous video solution, additionally I have checkbox muting. I'll be clicking on the settings here. So here we have to understand what kind of sequence we need. Muting 1, into meeting 2 input or meeting 2 to meeting 1. We can select either of these, and programming has to be changed. So I have done programming as per meeting 1 to meeting 2. And the time interval for switching is 1 second, which I have provided, but it's according to the application. Once again, the switching between meeting 1 and 2 can be selected here. Then the maximum override I have considered 1 minute, that is 60 seconds for the meeting as well as for the override as well. So coming to the area now. So in the area design for the muting, so additionally I have we'll be looking into the muting additional tab over here. So where we have to design a certain area where we exactly require the muting. So what I'll try and do is I'll try and configure a new function here. I have deleted that. Then additionally I need to add, right? So this can be added once again. So I have overwritten the area what I have configured previously. Now just need to confirm. Click on all the options here, or either just go through all the settings here, whether it's in line with the settings what we have done. Then finally we have to click on the transmit to sensor. So once the process of writing has been complete, that is downloading the backup into the SELS procedure, SE2L is completed. So it will show as transmission succeeded. I'll click on OK. So it will switch on to the main screen once again. I'll reconnect it to the SE2L. So here straight away it will show the area in the monitor. I'll try and interfere in the area now. Just see what is happening. Now the muting function is off. Once it went to a protection zone, it shows the OSSD signal as off state. So I'll switch on the muting function right now. So for that we have already done the programming here. So this is muting program and this is the override program. So I'll start the muting function now. I made it to start mode. So as you can see the sequencing which I've done, which already has been done here. So I'll bring the object, it's in the protection zone now. But it is showing as OSSD signal that protection zone signal is in healthy state because we have bypassed the specific area. Let's say I'm moving the object to the protection zone now. So small area has come to the protection zone. What happens now? Even in this case, it should bypass that area. So for that, I'll switch on the override signal. So override signal is in function state now. Its functionality is switched on. So again, muting function has come back and the OSSD signal is in off state. Sorry, it's in on state. So to make it off, either the timer has to be, it has to reach 60 seconds, or I need to switch off the override function. So now I'll take out the object from here. Let's say the functionality has completed. I'll make the muting function off and the override. As soon as muting function is off, override will be in off state. So I'm manually switching it off. Thank you very much. This will be the end of this video here. If you have any further requirements, any other specific topic which we need to cover, just let us know. If you would like to have the sample program of this, you can reach out to this nearest sales team or the technical team, whichever that's there in your area. Well, thank you once again, and we'll meet you in the next video solution.